What is up, Nickel City Mafia? After a 3 week layoff, Jeremy had to get married. I had to go on an anniversary trip. I went over to London to see, the Ravens game. The Bills are also over in London. A lot of stuff's been going on. We took a little hiatus, but we have not taken our eyes off of football. We're back, and we're back with the fantasy football content. Jeremy, what's up, man?
Nothing much, man. Cheers. Good to see you.
Yep, been a little while, but I think we owe some people some good analysis. We're nearing that midway point. I think like maybe next week we'll call our show, maybe the midway point. Next week or 2 weeks we'll call it the midway point and kind of do some reflection on what's happened so far and how we prepare for the rest of the year. But it was an exciting week, week 7. So we have 5 games set out for you guys that we're going to recap. Also taking live Q&A the entire show. So if you guys have any questions about trades, ad drops, sit starts, we'll do it all. So before we really get into the game recaps, what have you kind of thought week 7 in general, or the season in general? Like, what trends are you seeing? Like, what just stands out as a whole for you so far?
I feel like so far, I mean, Travis Kelsey or nothing, tight end wise. Like, dude is just a beast, man. He's crushing fantasy football. And he's crushing Taylor Swift, so, I can't.
Wow, nice. I was wondering, we're into the show 2 minutes and 22 seconds, and we have a Taylor Swift joke. I was
That's all
wondering
it
how
took.
long it would take.
Yeah. No, I don't know. Other than that, wide receivers were a safe bet this year for the most part. Um, it's top three quarterbacks plus Lamar after last week. I think he cements himself in there as number 4, and then kind of everybody else again.
Yeah, I'm
And
with you.
I don't know.
That was my number one takeaway so far. You
Yeah.
took the words out of my mouth. Is that how predictable were QBs this year, right? I mean, it was the one position. Well, other than tight end, we knew that Kelsey would be a smash. We knew that Andrews would be fine. Kittle would be fine, right? That was pretty predictable too. But QBs were just so predictable. The top four is Allen, Hurts, Mahomes, and Lamar. I mean,
Yeah.
that was great. So if you just stuck to consensus and went early on QB, you're probably in good shape right now.
And some people didn't like Lamar at 4, which was crazy to me.
Yeah,
And
I mean
he's proved them all wrong.
he has number one upside,
Yep.
still does. So we'll see what happens with that.
Yep. I think also running backs are volatile, but you had to go kind of earlier on running backs, or you were screwed for the most part. And
Yeah,
CMC
Bozzy
still
said, "What up?
crushes.
What up, guys? What's up, Bozzy? Thanks for joining the
Thanks,
show.
man.
Is Rasheed Rice worth it? You're gonna have to explain what that means. Worth what? I
I,
think we'll talk about him later because we're gonna recap the Chiefs game. But I think Rasheed Rice is the wide receiver one on the Chiefs. But what does that really say? It's kind of Kelsey. It's kind of Pacheco, and it's kind of Mahomes using his legs. I don't know what the wide receiver one really buys you on the Chiefs. But what's your thoughts on Rice?
it's hard to trust anyone that's not named Kelsey in that offense. But Rasheed Rice, we've seen the targets go up every week. We've seen the catches go up every week. He's a rookie. That's what you want. So worth it depends on like how you're valuing him, right? Like I
Hmm.
think probably where he is right now is fair market value, and I think he's worth that value. Like
Yeah.
I don't
He's
think
wide
he's
receiver
like
40 on the year. I think that's pretty
yeah.
fair, right? I mean, he's like a an average flex play, right? And
Yeah, I think he's wide receiver 3 with wide receiver 2 upside,
yeah,
like every week
yeah.
at this point.
So yeah, Bozzy, thanks for the question. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, we'd really appreciate a subscribe. And if you have any more questions, bring it. Question from Josh. Josh, thanks for coming to hang out. Would you guys rather trade Aaron Jones and Russ for Hertz, or Connor and Russ for Hertz? I mean, I think you immediately do one of those before he changes his mind.
Yeah,
I don't care which one. I mean, both.
yeah,
I
either
what
one
do
is
you like?
fine.
So basically,
Yeah,
do you like Aaron Jones or Connor better rest of season?
I like Aaron Jones better. I think he's the more talented back, and Connor, we're still not sure on a timeline for him, right? I just checked yet today. I didn't see anything about like a return date. They're hoping the end of the IR window he's back, but it's not confirmed.
Yeah, let's go ahead and take the running back that's playing. That's Aaron Jones. I know Aaron Jones is a little banged up, and um, but yeah, I think he's in an overall better offense and a better player. So let's make sure you do something now before that guy changes his mind. You need to get if you
Yeah.
can get rid of Russ and upgrade to Hurts and only give up a running back. I think you do that.
He also
You know,
says giving Carr for James Conner is a fleece. Just depends on the setting. If it's one QB, I think it's a fleece. For two quarterback, it's probably even.
so it's a 20-man one QB.
Oh yeah, sorry, I missed that. Yeah, definitely a fleece. Then I would say, yeah.
Yeah, agree. Cool, man. Well, Josh, thanks for the question. Please subscribe to the channel. Hang out. We're going to hang out for about an hour, hour and a half, talk about some football. If you have any more questions or want to make comments along the way, feel free. So the first game we're going to get into was my favorite game of the slate.
I bet.
I could only watch about half the game, which was killing me. I was in West Virginia visiting family. So we couldn't get the Ravens game because it wasn't the local game. So we had to like go to find a restaurant that had it on. It was a whole disaster.
Oh,
But anyway, you
get the
finally got to
NFL
watch the
ticket, man.
Ravens game. They absolutely uh, took the Lions to the cleaners. It was 38-6, and the game was not that close. It was seemed like a 50-point win for the Ravens. They just absolutely dominated from the opening kickoff.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was your main takeaway from the Ravens?
Lamar is legit. He's back again. He's back at the top of the discussion. That was probably the biggest takeaway. Him and Mark Andrews coming back and having a big game. That's huge for them. Those were, I think, the biggest takeaways. The only other one I had down there was Amon Ra is like just game proof, situation proof. The man always gets points, even in
Yeah.
horrible situations. Like Goff looked not good. The whole team looked bad except for Amon Ra, and they finally fed Gibbs.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. I hadn't watched a Lions game, like a full Lions game, until this, and it's just so apparent that that offense is the offense you want in fantasy because it's such a funnel,
Yeah,
right? It's it's Goff, Gibbs, Amon-Ra, Laporta. That's it. Like
yeah,
that is gonna, I love when you can tell, these are the 3 or 4 players that are really gonna score, and you rarely have an exception to the rule. So, even though the Lions scored 1 touchdown and barely moved the ball, it was very obvious who they want to move their offense through. Now, my question for you is now, was this just Gibbs had a good game because of the game script, or is he gonna like nudge his way into being RB1 and Montgomery kind of takes a back seat? What's your thoughts on that? Because I feel like Gibbs is like a very polarized player now. It's like you're either all in on him because you think he's about to take the reins and run, or you think Montgomery's going to take over.
yeah. I think Montgomery takes over, but it's a split. I think it's like a 50-50 split when he comes back. They like him a lot. I mean, the one game we all thought he was hurt and like barely going to play, he went crazy. Um,
Right.
so I just think it's even if he's hurt again, he's going to come back and get right back in that offense. They're not going to just keep feeding Gibbs. Just right now, Gibbs is the option.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the Lions, they're going to get back. They're eventually going to get back to their roots, play tough defense, run the ball, control the clock. Jared Goff's never going to throw the ball 53 times again ever this season. So, yeah.
Yeah.
My only other takeaway is like we can go ahead and table the discussion on who the Ravens RB1 is. It's very clearly Gus Edwards.
Yeah, I had that too.
Outsnapped Justice Hill, out carried him by 10, and had a really explosive play through the air. Um, I'm seeing a lot of rumors that the Ravens are heavily after Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Um, so that would be interesting because Derrick Henry and Gus Edwards are kind of the same player. So I don't know if like Gus Edwards would be a piece in that trade or what. But I mean they're pretty much the exact same skill set. So interested to see what happens there.
Yeah, I would imagine if that happened, they're not trading away Gus because they need a running back depth, and I would guess that Derrick Henry just works his way into that offense and becomes the number one.
Yeah.
He's much more talented than Gus. Sorry, Gus the Bus.
Yeah, Gus Edwards is so funny because like we love him in Baltimore, but he's not a household name, right? He's kind of just we know that what I think he had 5 yards per carry or higher like 4 straight years. I mean, we know
Yeah,
how good he is. He's just never got the keys. And now that he kind of does slightly, I mean, he's showing out. He's a good little player.
yeah,
Speaking of good little players and little, I mean, for real, Zay Flowers, dude.
yeah.
He we were wondering like who's going to be the wide receiver one. Like, is Odell going to come in, pick up where he left off from the Super Bowl 2 years ago? Is Bateman going to show how he was a first round pick? It's very clearly Zay Flowers, and he just looks so good.
I think so too. Although we'll say Odell did get 5 catches, so
Yeah,
that's the most we've seen him grab. So that's something to think about for sure. But no, Zay is the guy there. But it seems like it's mostly Mark Andrews, and everybody else gets a little bit.
exactly. Yeah, Odell has a play 2 weeks in a row that like makes you say like, "Ooh, okay, he might be back." Like he's had a really explosive play 2 weeks in a row. I think he's like, he is older. I think it took him a while to get his feet and his explosiveness back. So, yeah, he's looked pretty good the past couple weeks. Okay,
Yeah, I don't know
well
about you.
that
I've got the Bills game on right now, and Khalil Shakir with a little 4 for 69 already.
wow,
Yeah, coming out of nowhere.
man, that's I'm a big Gabe Davis owner, so that makes me upset.
He's 3 for 34. Diggs is having a quiet start.
Yeah. Yeah, they've been featuring Kincaid pretty early in that. Do you see when
Knox is
when they
out.
got stopped fourth and goal, they gave it to Kincaid 2 of those 4 plays.
Dang.
So they tried to do a shovel pass, like a Travis Kelsey like shovel pass to him,
Yeah.
and then on fourth down they threw it to him again. So we're gonna talk about the Bills Patriots game later, but dude, I think Kincaid is like a screaming buy right now.
Oh yeah, he's about to go
Before we
crazy
even
this
saw
game.
this, I mean, he was like huge buy
Yeah.
because of Dawson Knox injury and other things.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, on to the next game. Browns and Colts. I
Game of
think
the week.
that this was, I think one of these teams hit the over under themselves. I don't know what the over under was for this game, but it's probably around 40.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, I would have never guessed in a million years that this game would have been a shootout.
And it wasn't. It was like for the Browns. It wasn't exactly a shootout. They ran the ball a lot, and I don't know. Like they need a quarterback. They should be on the phone getting somebody because they need a quarterback. I don't know whether it's just rumors of like Kirk or asking the Commanders for Brissett to come back because he knows their offense already. But
Dude,
they
they
need a
can't they
quarterback.
can't just give up on Deshaun. I mean, he makes way too much money.
Well, he's all banged up and stuff. They just need somebody. I don't know.
That would
They
actually
have
be a
they
sick
have a
that would actually
great
be a sick
defense,
trade for the
a great
Vikings.
offense.
Think about it. Think about that for the Vikings, right? If the
Yeah.
Vikings could swap Kirk for Deshaun, but like take Deshaun's contract too, it might work for both sides.
Yeah, I don't know. I wanted nothing really to do with Deshaun this year, and I'm glad that worked out.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have him in any redraft, I don't think.
I don't have
Oh,
him in
I have
any.
him in one. But I have him in a couple dynasty teams where I like bought him really super low. And yeah, not working out.
Yeah. But the
Anyway, the
Colts though,
Pete
Minshew looks good. Minshew is every week starter. Like dude's putting up numbers. And then you had Jonathan Taylor, Zach Moss, pretty much splitting carries, but we all know Taylor's the more talented guy. He's getting more of the pass catching. I think that situation where it'll resolve itself, where JT comes back, right?
I was gonna ask, it's like, what do you even do with Zach Moss right now?
He's a flex play, and you hope he falls in the end zone.
I guess so. I mean, do you dangle him out there to like a running back needy team and just say and like hope someone just looks at the box scores and says like, "Ooh." So
I
here's
get,
so I have Moss only in one league and it's a dynasty league and it's a super deep league. So we roster like 35 players or something. And I put Moss on the trade block because I have enough running backs. I don't need him. And the best
yeah.
offer I got was a fourth round pick.
Oof. Yeah, I think
So
he's
I
probably a
didn't do it. It's
third,
like, yeah, I
like
was
an
gonna
early
say like if
third.
like I kind of was I wanted a second and I would give back a third with Moss,
Yeah.
but I didn't get anything close to that. So I don't know. I think people aren't. I think they're pretty slick on the fact that his time is limited. The only thing that could save Zach Moss, I think, is if he gets traded. I
Yeah.
mean, I could see like maybe the Ravens even making a move for him or the Bills.
Well, I think they're not gonna. They wouldn't trade him because he's their backup guy. You know,
Ooh, Chris
I don't think
Godwin
they would trade him.
touchdown.
I saw. Yeah,
Let's go.
he could make a little resurgence there. Yeah, other than that, for Indy, Josh Downs is legit after this game. He's got to be on everybody's like. He should not be on the waivers anywhere. He
No,
shouldn't be in free
he's
agency.
if Josh
He's there,
Downs is
scoop him.
available on your waiver, he's a
Yeah,
number one pickup. I know waivers have already ran this week, but
yeah. He
um,
might still be on free agency, or if your league has rolling waivers, he might still be on waivers. But just he's definitely number one grab because he was on everybody's waivers before this week.
yeah, touchdown in back-to-back weeks, and they're both Minshew weeks. Minshew obviously likes Downs, um, out targeted Michael Pittman. So Josh Downs, he was legit. I mean, he was a 3-year producer at UNC, early declare. I mean, he's just undersized. But yeah, love him. I think that no Cleveland, like I don't want to start anyone on Cleveland in fantasy football except Kareem Hunt, right? Jerome Ford
Yeah, I was gonna say
out with
Ford, but he's out now.
he's out with an injury. I don't know. It seems like a 1 or 2 week injury.
Yeah, I think they said 1 to 2, probably 2
Yeah,
weeks.
so
So
Kareem Hunt is probably the only starter for the Browns that you can play.
and I worry about Ford coming back, and Kareem Hunt's already cemented himself, and it's a timeshare, and then it's like which you just have to start whichever one, hope one of them scores. It looks like Cleveland is going to be running the ball a lot,
Yeah.
and a game where I would have thought Amari Cooper would have a really good game, he was nowhere to be seen almost.
Yeah.
It's Elijah Moore got a little bit in that game, which is something, I guess. But you can't
I
start
guess
anybody else in
you
Cleveland
can't you
except
can't
for
start
the running back.
any receiver with PJ Walker playing QB. I mean, Njoku is probably a fringe like back end tight end one, but
I
barely.
guess, yeah. I
Anyway,
might put him
Kareem
outside.
Hunt is he's a slam dunk start in week 8, right?
Yeah,
I mean, he's probably I don't know. I'd rank him as an RB2,
yeah.
like a mid
So
RB2
yeah,
ish.
and then when Ford comes back, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So hopefully, I think Kareem Hunt probably my top running back pickup of the week. So loving that situation. Yeah, that's all I got. I mean, I think Jonathan Taylor is just like a screaming buy right now. He's gonna have an absolute blow up game either week 8 or week 9, guaranteed.
Yeah,
And I mean, it's probably good for his legs that he didn't play the first 4 weeks of the year. I mean, he's super fresh. He's just about to take off. Okay. Well, on to our next game. Bills Patriots. Patriots hold serve at home, get their second win of the year against the Bills. Really disappointing loss for the Bills, but
disappointing win for the Patriots fans too.
I
I'm
know
up
they
in
wanted a
Patriots
QB.
territory. They wanted a tank.
I know.
My buddy was upset. He was like, I wanted Caleb.
Yeah. Jeez. Just scored a touchdown for the Bills.
So that's kind of funny. But yeah, I mean, even when the Bills don't look good though, Josh Allen still puts up numbers. It doesn't matter. Like he gets those rushing yards, he gets the rushing touchdown. He still throws for 2 touchdowns. We saw a little bit of a Dalton Kincaid coming out, which was great. 8 receptions on 8 targets. That's huge. Seeing that where Knox only had 1. I know he got hurt, but still. And then
Yeah, I
Diggs,
think Kincaid, it's full-fledged breakout season because
yeah,
Knox is on IR. Kincaid was their leading receiver in this game. I think there's no turning back. Once they see him operate without Knox for 4 games, it's on, right? So
yeah.
I think Kincaid is a locked and loaded, tight end 8 to 12 for the next 4 weeks. I mean, he's almost a must start, I'd say, unless you have like one of the big boys.
I agree, and I could see him creeping up to the top 5. I think Diggs also shows he's just straight reliable. We'll see. He's having a slow start this game, but he's Diggs. He'll catch up. And then James Cook is just keeps cementing himself as the guy there. I know he gets vultured, but it doesn't matter when he gets all the passing work, which is what you want. So he's just a low end RB1.
Yeah, I think he's RB 14 on the year, which is pretty good considering his volume hasn't been super high yet. I don't know that it'll ever be high, but he's only catching like little over two passes a game, and I think that's kind of low for him, considering what he did in college. So with Knox out, maybe we see like a little bit more work in the passing game for Cook. I don't know. But you'd like to see him getting, 3 catches a game, maybe 4 catches a game, especially with his, 3 catches for 46 yards and a TD. He's like a house call waiting to happen. So we need to get him the ball in space. But yeah, pleasantly surprised. If you drafted James Cook, you're ahead, right? Because you took him later than RB 14.
And then on the New England side of things, Ramondre is still the guy you want. I know Zeke scores. He also has a couple more carries than Ramondre, but Ramondre is getting all the passing work. Again, that's what you want. I could see Zeke and him splitting the carries. Belichick just likes to do that. Like, you never know what Belichick's doing with his running backs. That's why it's so hard to trust Patriots running backs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Ramondre right now is kind of like a ticking time bomb, but like in a good way. Sometimes you just feel it in your gut. I feel like Ramondre is about to have like a 25-30 fantasy point game like in the next couple games. All we need is like Zeke what?
When they play the Commanders next week, that's when
Exactly. All we need is like Zeke to just leave a game early or something and have it be a competitive game, and then Ramondre is just going to go off. I mean, he did that multiple times last year where if Belichick just sees that Ramondre is taking over the game, he just gives him the ball, 27 times. So it's coming soon. I would not be frustrated. I think he's like running back 21 or 22 on the year. And I think there's nowhere to go but up for him. I think he's like a sneaky little buy low, especially in like a PPR league.
Yeah. Then on the
as for their pass catchers,
I was gonna say, Kendrick Bourne catches a touchdown, but he's not anyone you can rely on. Demario Pop Douglas, he's a rookie, so I'm intrigued by rookies, right? You never know if the talent shows and he becomes a star, but it's just. I mean, Mac Jones finally has a fantasy relevant game for probably the first time.
I think week 1 he kind of went off, but it's his first relevant game since week 1.
Yeah.
Like, dare I say, like his job was on the line this week? Probably getting close.
People kept questioning who's starting. So Belichick sees he's a starter. He's a starter. For sure it was on the line, and a big game against a big divisional rival that they probably should have lost and tanked for Caleb, but whatever. Now they're gonna try to win. And
I think he bought himself a couple more weeks starting. But man. I know Juju's out, but I don't think Juju's anything anyway. It's just wild how like the Patriots are like allergic to getting pass catchers that are actually decent.
Jacoby Myers, man, they let him go and paid Juju the same amount of money. That's what he got in Vegas. It's crazy. Oh, guess who just scored a touchdown for Buffalo?
Yeah,
Kincaid.
No way.
Yeah, Dalton Kincaid touchdown.
Wow, they're feeding him, man. He is such the goat.
It looks pretty good.
He is such the goat. Wow. Love that guy. Nice.
Didn't see how many yards yet, but yeah.
So I have to ask you a dynasty question, because I was about to offer this trade in a dynasty league earlier, and then I chickened out. So I'm contending in a league. You're not in it, I don't think. I'm contending in a league, and I have Goddard and Kyle Pitts at tight end, dynasty. And Goddard's been on fire. So I thought about trading Pitts for Kincaid and Isaiah Pacheco.
I would rather have Kincaid than Pitts at this point. So
wow, in dynasty, just straight up.
I think so. Pitts is doing nothing in Atlanta.
Wow. I would have to
I
keep Pitts
I
just
think his
because
stock
of
has fallen so far. I
I
would
would
do
have to
that trade in
keep
a heartbeat.
I would have to keep Pitts just because of name value and like what he'll be worth for like another year just because he's Kyle Pitts.
Also, you won't be able to do that trade because Kincaid just scored a touchdown. So.
I know. Damn.
It looks like it was like a 22-yard touchdown.
Dude, he's so good.
Yeah.
Kincaid, goated. Officially goated. Okay. Cool. Well, let's see. Our next game is Chiefs and Chargers. So, Chiefs have now rattled off 6 wins in a row since they lost their opener to the Lions. And, dude, I don't know about you, but like, I'm so tired of looking at Chiefs box scores. It's like the most frustrating shit to look at every week because
Yeah.
I don't even need like I can just show me the score of the game and I can probably guess the box score for you. It's like
Kelsey 200 yards. Everybody else
well,
40
it's
and
like
30 yards.
okay, Mahomes, over 300 yards and either, 3 touchdowns. He probably has 30 or 40 yards rushing. Kelsey has a shitload of yards and 1 or 2 touchdowns. And then one receiver has like 70 yards and then 7 other receivers caught one ball.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah, there's
it's so frustrating. I mean, Kansas City is like the worst fantasy football team to be a good team I've ever seen.
10 different receivers caught a football from Mahomes. And
That's
11th had a target that he dropped, who was, of course, CEH.
yeah. This
Who
is
just,
not helpful.
shouldn't play football anymore.
This is not helpful. I mean, literally,
McCole Hardman caught a pass. He was on the Jets like 2 days before this game.
yeah. It's wild that like the only startable players on the Chiefs in a fantasy sense is Mahomes, Kelsey, Pacheco, and Rasheed Rice. Literally no one else is startable or
And Rasheed
not
Rice
even
is
remote.
still
And Rasheed
hit or
Rice is
miss.
like a flex play, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't start MVS, you can't start Sky Moore, you can't start Tony, you can't start CEH. It's just
I will say
wild, dude.
for best ball this year, I loved Kansas City receivers. I was taking Marquez Valdez and Rushy Rice, Jerick McKinnon, Sky Moore. I was taking all of them all day long
Because
you know
in
every
best ball
week
format,
someone's going to catch. Yeah.
you don't have to play them, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you just hope it happens.
Yeah.
So I'm with you
I
there.
was liking that.
In best ball, especially if you can grab 2 of them, because one of them's if you had MVS and Rasheed Rice, you're probably like so dope in best ball.
Yeah. Yeah, but then the only thing I had for the Chiefs really was just like Kelsey is a cheat code. If he's on your team, you're destroying your opponents.
Yeah. 12 out of caught 12 of 13. Like ever since he started banging Taylor Swift, he's unstoppable.
He was before that too, but yeah, he's got a little something extra going now.
He's got swagger.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm starting to man crush pretty hard on Pacheco. Just because
Good.
just because of like their offense is such a funnel. It's Mahomes, it's Kelsey, and then it's nobody. So it's like especially since Pacheco's been in on the passing game lately, I'm like borderline all in Pacheco. I don't own any of his, but I think I offered a trade for Pacheco in like 4 or 5 of my leagues. I want him and need him badly.
Do you want to hear a bad trade I did at the beginning of the season? So Dynasty League, like 1 quarterback, 12 team. I traded Pacheco and Khalil Herbert away for Rashad White.
I remember you sent me that trade, and I said, Ness, that was a lot to give up for Rashad White. And you're like, dude, I love Rashad White.
I liked Rashad White this year, and I'm being proven very wrong. Maybe he'll do something this game, and I don't know. But
And Herbert
like
looked decent too
already. But
wow. So anyway, kicking it over to the Chargers side of the ball, probably the biggest head scratcher of the year. What the hell's up with Austin Eckler? I mean, he hasn't been healthy.
I have him as a buy low candidate, I think, because he's got to bounce back, right?
He's 28, dude, and he's undersized. I mean,
maybe he's just done. I was going to ask you what your opinion on Herbert is, because I think he's like dropping in rankings for quarterback. Like we had him up there probably just below Burrow at the beginning of the year. Some people had him better than Burrow.
Like in Dynasty, I would rather have Herbert than Burrow. I was pretty firmly on that.
I wouldn't anymore.
No, I mean
Hey,
Herbert has to be. I mean, he can't be higher than like Dynasty QB like 7 or 8 at this point.
and you could say he's lower. I don't know what's going on there. Everyone was excited for this offense this year, and besides Keenan Allen, it's not going great. And Keenan Allen has an okay game. It's gonna happen. He's gonna have some down games. That's fine. He can't be a monster every week. But the monster this week was Josh Palmer, who just shows he got a little banged up, but there looks like he's gonna play.
Hmm.
He's got to be on everybody's team because Mike Williams out for the year. So
I think not only does Josh Palmer have to be on your team, I think he's a must start every
yeah,
week. I mean, I know he's not like he was like a third round draft pick 2 years
yeah.
last year or 2 years ago.
I
But
think 2 years
every
ago, maybe
time the
three.
man sees playing time, he always performs. I
He
mean,
snags that long touchdown like every game when he sees playing time.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I really like him a lot. It was easy pick for me like between, like 3 or 4 weeks ago when Mike Williams went down, we were debating Quentin Johnston or Josh Palmer. Johnston just he ain't it, dude. He is not it. He
Doesn't
I
seem to
mean,
be. They're giving him chances. I mean, he had 2 targets and 1 catch, but they're like, I feel like they gave him a couple chances when Mike Williams first went out and he didn't show off, and they're like, all right, Palmer,
yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember who was like, didn't the four wide receivers kind of go in a row in the draft? Wasn't it like in the real NFL draft? Wasn't it like JSN and then Johnston and then Flowers and then Addison?
Exactly right. Yeah.
Okay.
It was
Wow.
three. I think JSN went a little higher, but it was those 3 in a row
But
for sure.
JSN wasn't more than like 2 or 3 picks ahead of
Yeah,
that
it was
run.
very close. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
very close. Yeah.
Yeah. So
So it
they picked Quentin Johnston over Flowers and Addison.
and Addison. Yeah.
Brutal. This is reminding me of like Jalen Rager over Justin Jefferson. Remember that?
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, I could see like Quentin Johnson. People had over Zay Flowers for the most part, but Flowers' stock went up a lot. But most people had Addison, I think, as the higher
Hmm.
prospect over Johnson. They're all close, and man, it's hard to be a scout, right?
And to me, it's like my comp for Jordan Addison was Keenan Allen. So I thought like, oh my God, Addison's on the board for the Chargers. Like he's literally Keenan Allen. Like he's the same player as Keenan Allen.
Yeah,
And they took the replacement for Mike Williams, not the replacement for Keenan Allen.
yeah. Uh, Addison looks great. We're not covering that one today, but he's just looks amazing.
Dude,
He's gonna be
he
him and
straight
Justin
up
Jefferson.
exposed the 49ers defense.
Yeah,
They've looked very vulnerable through the air this year.
yeah. Surprising.
Yeah.
But that's kind of all I had for Los Angeles.
So we're
I mean,
both
Joshua
agreeing.
Kelly's got to be on your team, I guess, but it's hard to start him because he was terrible when Eckler was out. Now that Eckler's back, he's good.
No, but that's what happened before. His other big game was when
Yeah,
Eckler was playing. So I guess when he's the starter, he just sucks. Yeah, I'm off of Josh Kelly. So all right, so you say that Eckler's a buy low. I think I agree with you. But like what are you paying for him? Like are you like paying as if like you have to discount him a little bit, right? Because he's been
like
so
RB
bad.
two. You're paying him like he's an RB2, and you're hoping he goes back to RB1 status. Probably like a higher RB2.
All right, so let me ask you this. So if you have Isaiah Pacheco on your team, would you give up Isaiah Pacheco and like a wide would you give up Isaiah Pacheco and Josh Palmer for Austin Eckler?
No, I think you could argue Pacheco versus Austin Eckler straight up, man. The way things are going right now, for when it comes to redraft, you got to look at how players are playing. Like, right, and we're enough weeks into the NFL season, you can go by their stats, their total stats, and Pacheco's crushing it. He's consistent. He,
I'm with you,
he
dude. I think that's fair. And I want to do like a takeaway show like at the end of the year because me and you are like mostly dynasty players. And I think it's really hard to be a good redraft player when you're so heavily involved in Dynasty because you just
Yeah.
don't. In Dynasty, it's so hard to see in the here and now. You're so like long-winded in your thoughts, right? So yeah, I'm. It's wild that yes, Pacheco and Austin Eckler are probably very similar rest of season.
Yeah. No, my redraft grudge is I kind of want the redraft leagues like you and I are in together and stuff. Start doing the 2-win every week
Mm-hmm.
points and head to
Median,
head.
yeah.
Yeah, median and head to head. Just because I
Mm-hmm.
feel like you and I both actually have had the worst luck. We have great looking teams on paper and just keep losing to people by like marginal amounts.
Yeah. That was my I didn't say it when we started the show, we talked about like general takeaways from the season so far.
Yeah,
My other general takeaway was like fantasy football, especially in redraft leagues, is just so freaking lucky because
it feels
these
good.
like I'm gonna name players for you that have got like if you have these players on your team, you have no chance of being in first place or like close to it. Justin Jefferson, Austin Eckler, Nick Chubb, J.K. Dobbins, Aaron Jones, Cooper Cup, Christian Watson. Like if you have
Yeah,
any of those players and like if you had a couple of them, you're just done. You're out of it.
yep, yep.
So yeah, let's not forget that this is a luck game. It just kind of is what it is.
Yeah, it's for fun. We do it to give our friends money.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right,
All right.
Dolphins Eagles.
Dolphins Eagles last game. Yeah, thank you guys
Eagles
for coming out to
fly.
watch. If you have any questions, hit us in the chat and we'll get to your question right away. Yeah, so this was a really exciting game on paper. Kind of turned out to be a little bit of a rout in favor of the Eagles. Eagles are probably just still the cream of the crop, aren't they? I mean, we thought the Niners were up there and they're probably good too, but Eagles just kind of look like they're the best team in the NFL right now.
Yeah, it's there's a few, and they've been exposed a couple times. I think like I mean, my Commanders almost beat them. Took them to OT. They're definitely beatable, but then they come out and just like crush good teams like the Dolphins, and it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the season plays out. And like I'm curious to see what happens. Like everyone's forgetting about Dallas being on bye, I think, and they have a lot of weapons and a good defense. They just like suck,
Yeah.
which I'm not mad about, but
Yeah, Dak Prescott has either been completely on his game or off his game, depending on the week, right? I mean,
yeah,
he's looked great and then he's looked like shit.
yeah.
Um,
But yeah, the
yeah,
Eagles
with
get the job done. Hurts looks great. The brotherly love, brotherly push,
brotherly shove
brotherly shove. Thanks, I couldn't remember what it's called.
or
Yeah,
the tush push, whatever you want to
tush
call it.
push. Yeah, that everyone's saying like there needs to be a rule. Blah blah blah. No one else can do it.
If it was
Other
so
teams are
easy,
trying.
then yeah, why does only one team do it?
Yeah. But it takes away from the running backs a little bit. Swift has a great game, but Gainwell finds the end zone, which is like frustrating for Swift people. But I mean, Swift still did pretty good, like just not
I mean,
crazy good.
if
And then
you have
AJ
Swift
Brown
in
is
your,
a monster.
I was gonna say the gap between AJ Brown and Devonta Smith is real. I mean, I know, like in drafts, AJ Brown was going what a
Probably a
round
rounds
ahead,
before, yeah.
a round ahead of
Yeah.
Devonta Smith, but now AJ Brown is wide receiver 3 and Devonta Smith is wide receiver 33, and he hasn't really looked great. He's had a couple of bad drops, and AJ Brown just looks like a freaking man. Like,
It was that game. Remember, like Smith got all the targets like week 1 or 2 or whatever, and then AJ. There was that thing of AJ Brown like blowing up at Hurts, like what the fuck, you know? And no one says what happened, but basically, it's like give me the fucking ball.
yeah,
And now he does, and he's the best.
yeah. And yeah, AJ Brown is the truth, dude. 15
I
targets.
just traded him to you and helped you win.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. I
Yeah.
forget what our trade was, but I think you
Nico
did.
in a first.
Yeah, Nico in a
Third.
first. I mean,
Yeah.
you're rebuilding. I think you'll be fine. I love
I'm not
Nico
worried
Collins,
about it.
dude.
I like
I
the trade.
love Nico Collins.
I have Stroud on that team, so I get a little stack going. I'm
Yeah.
not mad about it. I wasn't gonna like. I would have won that week with AJ Brown, but I'm not winning the league, so
Yeah, might as well tank.
yeah. Well, maybe not tank. Just I don't need to do stand-up comedy twice.
Yeah. So Yeah, this is a funny story. Is we're in Jeremy and I are in at least three dynasty leagues together, maybe more. But one of them has a punishment for last place, and me and Jeremy played each other in the final game of the season to see who was going to be in last place. And that's not a good thing to like talk about because we're on this show and we're talking about fantasy football. But
Yeah,
to be fair, we
it was
both went in.
Dynasty.
It was a dynasty
Yeah,
league, and it was the first year of the league, and we both like tanked the startup draft
yeah,
like
we went
on
hard rebuild.
purpose. Yeah,
We
we
kept
did
trading
a
for
rebuild
first
from
and
the start.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so Jeremy has to do stand-up comedy at some point, and it's going to be hilarious, and I'm going to videotape it, and then I'm going to show it on this show.
Yeah, nice.
So anyway, back to the Eagles.
Yeah, Goddard is back again. Top five tight end rest of the way.
Yeah, he's looked really good like 2 or 3 weeks in a row.
Hmm.
That's good. Yeah, if you have I know DeAndre Swift didn't score, but he's running back 8 on the year. If you drafted him and he's on your team, you definitely profited from that because
Yeah.
he was probably drafted around like RB 20, RB 25. So you're making out well there. On the Dolphins side of the ball, I have a interesting Dolphins stat, running back stat. So
Okay.
the Dolphins currently have the running back 2 and the running back 7 in fantasy football. One of them is 31 years old, and the other one has only played 3 games.
Yeah. A chain. Yeah.
It's crazy, dude.
Like I liked Mostert going into this year. I didn't think he was going to be this good. I thought there was going to be a bunch of other guys in the mix. It'll be interesting to see what happens with A-Chain comes back, but I imagine it's going to go back to both of them having great games again. This was clearly not a great game for the Dolphins. It shows us that Tyreek Hill will always put up a bunch of points, and everyone else does like not great sometimes. I don't know.
Like, what does Tyreek's floor game look like right now? Like, the way that they're using him, what is the worst stat line you can imagine for Tyreek Hill?
I think he's going to put up like 100 yards. Like we put up 88, but he had 11 receptions. Like I think fantasy points wise, you should expect at least 15 points a game from him, with upwards of like 50. I don't know.
The worst stat line I can even remotely like fathom for Tyreek Hill is like 5 catches for 45 yards.
And
Like
he still gets a touchdown.
I can't possibly see anything worse than that.
Yeah.
Like, even if Jefferson was healthy and Jamar Chase, whatever, like Tyreek Hill, the way he's playing right now in his usage, he's like slam dunk wide receiver 1. I don't even think it's close.
No, for this year, yeah, I totally
Yeah.
agree. I think Cooper Cup will come back a bit more too, but Puka's there to stay, so he's taken from Cup. Like already, you can see that.
Dude, I watched a wide receiver rankings dynasty show today, and they had Puka at wide receiver 10
I don't think they're quite wrong. I mean,
in
Cooper
dynasty.
Cup is
That is
older.
freaking strong, dude.
Cooper Cup is older. He's already had a huge injury. You can't imagine he lasts more than 1 or 2 years, right?
Hmm.
So Puka's the guy there.
Sometimes the NFL just gets it wrong, right? And lets people slide. What was Puka, like a 4th round or 5th round pick?
Yeah, I think so. Something like that. Yeah. That was actually one of the things I meant to say at the top of the show there was one of the things we've learned was take dart throws on rookie wide receivers.
Hmm.
So many rookie wide receivers did great. Oh, here's a
Agree.
tough one.
Yeah. So Jack Smith, thanks for the question, man. We'll get right to that. And if you, thanks for coming to hang out. If you don't already like and subscribe, like the video, subscribe to the channel, we really appreciate that. So Olave or Kirk? Jack, are you talking about this week or rest of season?
So this week I've got them like neck and neck, like pick one, basically. They're both got pretty good matchups. You know, Olave against the Colts, Kirk against Pittsburgh.
Hmm.
I would lean Kirk just because we've seen Ridley have some bad games while Kirk's been like good. So I think for this week I would start Kirk. I think for the season again, I think it's really close. What do you think?
All I got to say is if you can only start one of them and not both of them, I want to see your other wide receivers.
Yeah, you got a good team, man.
I know you probably have a good team because I think Olave and Kirk are both like very, very high end wide receiver 2s
Yeah.
this week and rest of season. Christian Kirk is like very far and away the wide receiver one on that team.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm
the
leaning
Calvin
Kirk into
Ridley
this
stuff was
situation,
just bullshit.
but I think it's so close. It's like you said, good problem to have.
Yeah, really good problem to have. I mean, my answer is both. I would bench someone else. Should I
I think
trade
Kirk.
Adam Chase? Thanks for hanging out, man. Appreciate the question. Should I trade Adam Thielen and Brees Hall for Saquon, Jacoby Myers, and Nico Collins? Yes.
Oh, that's tough actually, because Thielen has been crushing it, and there's no reason
Dude,
he's not going to continue the rest of the season.
but here's the thing. It's like, isn't Jacoby Myers gonna be like I think one or the other, Myers or Nico Collins, will end up being Thielen or really close to it. Oh man, that is hard. That is hard though. I guess if you need the depth, like if you're gonna start Barkley, Jacoby, and Nico, like you need them in your wide receiver three or flex. I like the three player side because I think they're all three every week
Starters.
starters.
Yeah,
So
I
that's
can
why I
see
like the
that.
three player side.
I can see that. If it's because I mean, Jacoby is probably the least in that group of five guys there. Because Saquon and Brees Hall are probably pretty close
Hmm.
together, and then Thielen and Collins are probably also pretty close.
And you get a free
So
Jacoby Myers.
you get free Jacoby Myers. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I'd say go for it, dude. If you're gonna start them all, I think it's worth. Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Jack
are
said,
watching the
yeah.
game, Brian. Real quick question to Brian. I got the game on right here, man.
Yeah.
We've been
So
talking
why,
about the touchdowns as they happen. Our boy Dalton Kincaid getting a touchdown, looking good.
why we're not watching the game? So that's a multi answer.
Yeah,
Jeremy and I are not Bills fans, even though we're on the Bills channel. Um, and this is the only day we could do our fantasy show because we've been busy this week. But yeah, we're both watching on our phones.
yeah. It's halftime, so that's a good break right now.
Yeah. And Jack says, I don't know how I got both. Appreciate it, guys. Yeah. So, yeah, Olave and Kirk.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good problem.
they're both every week starters. So you need to figure out how to start both of them every week. I
I'm
think
leaning Kirk this
Olave,
week.
even though he's been pretty good, I think he's just primed to go off even more. I mean, he's being fed targets.
Yeah,
I don't think Michael Thomas is going to stay healthy all year. I really like, and I don't think Alvin Kamara is going to catch 8 balls every game either. So I really, really like Olave. Like I can't even say buy low because he's been good.
yeah.
But I think it's a buy high on Olave personally. Okay.
That's a good
Let me.
segment into. Let's go into buy lows. Who are we trying to buy? I got a huge list here.
You have a huge list. Okay. I only have two written down. I doubt we overlap on anyone. So
Go for your
I'll
two.
rattle my two off real
Yeah,
quick. So yeah, I mean, I said one. A bonus one is Olave. I think Olave is a not even a buy low. I think he's a buy high. I really like him
yeah,
rest of season. We talked briefly earlier about Ramondre Stevenson. I think he's like just awaiting a breakout. I really like that as a trade target. Jonathan Taylor, I don't know how attainable he is, but I really like him as a trade target right now. If someone thinks that Moss might stick around, I think Moss is not going to be a thing in like 2 weeks. And my last one is like kind of out of left field, but we haven't talked about him today at all. Trey McBride.
he's on my list. Yeah,
Nice, nice. So Trey McBride, second year tight end for Arizona. Zach Ertz just went on IR. Completely would not be surprised if Zach Ertz gets traded before the trade deadline and go to a contender. Kyler Murray practiced in full the last 2 days. I think this is like Trey McBride's probably a free agent in your league. I don't even think you have to trade
yeah.
for him. I think he is going to be like a back end tight end one rest of season, and I think he has Kincaid like breakout ability. So I dig that.
I
Who you
agree.
got?
I like that one. So I've got a bunch. We already talked about. I like Eckler as like bounce back potential. I just think the talent is still there. I also like so Justin Jefferson actually. There's like some reports that he might be back at the end of his IR, like 3 weeks. There's a chance. So if you're in a redraft league where you're comfortably in the top couple spots, maybe some guy is in the bottom sitting with Justin Jefferson, and try to make a trade for Justin Jefferson. Buy low, and that guy needs something to win, right?
Hmm.
So offer him like a I don't know. I'm trying to think of another like a win now wide receiver. Chris Godwin's playing tonight, but someone maybe in that range of value.
Let me. Okay, would you give up?
Because if you're a bottom team with Justin Jefferson, you would trade Justin Jefferson for anyone who can start in your lineup.
So would you, if you had Justin Jefferson and you were in ninth place out of 10, would you trade him for Terry McLaurin?
Yes, if
Would
you're
you trade him
starting,
for Nico Collins?
absolutely, yeah. Again, someone you need to start for 3 weeks to get a win, to get 3 wins.
Calvin Ridley?
Oh, that one's Ridley hasn't been good, so no, he's had a bunch of bad games in a row. We've been discussing the game though, so it's okay. And it's halftime right now.
Every touchdown we take a break
Yeah,
and talk about it.
yeah,
And we're both watching on our phone. It's fine.
yeah.
Relax over there.
Um,
Who
but
else you
next
got?
up, I've got some so I got Cowboys. I think I was talking a little bit earlier. I think people forget sometimes when teams go on, especially good teams going by, that haven't been that good, like Dallas. People are forgetting about CeeDee Lamb. They're forgetting about Tony Pollard and Jake Ferguson, who Jake Ferguson might even be free agents on your waiver wire. I think all those guys have been underperforming, and I think Dallas will bounce back and put up some
Yeah,
points.
I think Pollard's a fun little buy low just because he hasn't really had like a game that sticks out where he's just like broke off a big game. So let me ask you a question. Let's talk
Yeah,
about Pollard for a second and kind of
okay.
see where we're putting him. Man, I can't even. Is he off this coming week?
He's no, he's well, yeah, he's off this week. It would be
Ah,
from
I
next
see.
week.
I
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
Okay,
I
gotcha.
think he's off this week, right?
Would if okay, would you trade
He's back
Pacheco
this
for
week.
Pollard? Pollard or Pacheco?
Man, that is close. I think I'd lean Pollard. He's been scoring more points consistently. I think that's really close, though. I could see getting Pollard and hoping Pollard just blows up because Pollard was drafted like beginning of the second round, most leagues, and he's
Yeah.
been nowhere near that value.
Yeah, I would lean Pollard there too. Okay, what about Pollard or Jameer Gibbs?
Pollard, because David Montgomery's coming back.
Pollard or Kenneth Walker?
Oof, Walker. He's been more consistent. Charbonnet doesn't seem to be a thing yet.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah,
All right.
after Dallas, I think like Josh Jacobs and Bijan are two other running back targets. The Bijan owner might be mad. He hasn't been playing well because Arthur Smith is a crazy person. Um, Everyone was so mad last week when Arthur Smith didn't put any kind of notice out to the world that he was not feeling good. Got one carry.
Should I try to sell Garrett Wilson with a little value now or believe in Zach?
So don't believe in
So,
Zach. Believe in Garrett Wilson because he's
yeah.
amazing. Chris knows my love for Garrett Wilson. I have contemplated trading him this year. I don't think you'll get enough for him selling him low. I think you're better off. Like you still start him every week, unless you have a league where you're really not starting that many players. Let's see, this week I've got him as like a 22 overall receiver. Maybe even I'd put him probably at like 20.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
I think
So,
you hold on to
okay.
him.
So if you wanted, say you had Garrett Wilson and you wanted to trade him, would you trade? So we'll do this or that: Garrett Wilson or Christian Kirk.
Kirk.
Garrett
Yeah,
Wilson or George Pickens.
that's really close. I think I'm leaning Wilson just because Deontay Johnson's coming back, and Pittsburgh looks a lot better though. But I think I would lean Wilson there.
See, here's the thing.
It's
It's like
close.
I don't think I'm selling Garrett Wilson like not at a huge discount because here's the thing. Like we drafted him to be like a top like 6 to 10 receiver. He had that upside with Aaron Rodgers. Even with Zach Wilson, he's still a wide receiver too. It's not like you lost your league. Like
Yeah.
he's going to be fine. Like yeah, you didn't get like the slam dunk like, you know, receiver that's going to go off, but he's still putting up really good numbers. I mean, I don't think you try to move him because if the Jets do make a move for a quarterback, you'll be really upset that you traded him.
Yeah, is that still going to happen? You were adamant that was going to happen.
I
We've seen
was
nothing
adamant
yet.
that the
So,
Jets were going to trade for a quarterback. What's their record right now?
did they 3 wins? I want to say. I'll double check.
Let me see here. Jets.
Then so
They're
actually we were
they're
just talking
three
about
and
Pickens.
three. I don't know if
I have
they win
Pickens
this
on my
week again.
list.
What?
I was gonna say I have Pickens on my list as like a buy low candidate. Maybe if people are worried about Deontay Johnson coming back, I like Pickens. Devontae Adams, he hasn't been playing too great. He's gonna bounce back. We talked about Palmer already too, Josh Palmer. I think
Yeah,
he's a
Devonte
buy because
Adams, I like that a lot. I mean, there's no way that Devonte Adams doesn't get his, um, because Garoppolo is coming back this week. I think Adams
yeah,
is a nice call. Would you rather have Devonte Adams or Garrett Wilson?
Adams.
By a pretty clear margin, right?
Yeah, I think so for
Yeah, I
sure.
agree with that.
Yeah, I think Palmer. People might think like this one game is a fluke. It's not going to keep going. But with Williams out the rest of the season, Palmer's a buy low. Like you were saying, starting every week. I think buy him, start him every week. Yeah. There's your boy
Cool.
Gabe Davis with the catch.
Okay, so let's move on
Six
to
for
like
61.
what what'd you just say?
Gabe Davis with another catch. Looking good.
Nice.
Six,
Um,
6 for 61.
so what players that were, drafted in the first like call it 6 or 7 rounds are you just completely given up on? Like you think there's no hope. They've been performing bad and they're not going to improve from how they've been.
The only one that like really pops in my mind is Kyle Pitts. I just I've been off on him. You know that I've been off on him for a while now, and he's not improving this year. It's not gonna. It doesn't seem like it's gonna happen at all. The other thing I had on there was like any Kansas City wide receivers not named Kelsey. Anywhere they were drafted. I mean, some of them went really late, so maybe you're okay, but you can't start them. Jahan Dotson, I loved him. I didn't end up getting too much of him because he was just going a little too rich for my blood. And I don't know what's going on there. It seems like maybe the talent's not coming through. I don't know if the offense is just not quite. I mean, the offense isn't great, but I thought he was going to be a clear number 2 and outplay Samuel, and Curtis Samuel's having a year.
Yeah. So I have a couple more for you.
Yeah.
Whether you still have hope or you're just giving up.
Well, I had the Denver team on my list.
So you just took one.
Anyone from Denver? Yeah, I figured you'd have that. Yeah.
So like, what do we even do with Jerry Judy? He's been so bad.
He's
But
probably
like,
droppable, right? I
do
don't know.
do we hope that he's like traded to Kansas City or something?
There was a rumor, a trade with him to where was it? It turned out to be nothing. Somebody was lying or something. But there were rumors. Maybe it was New York or something. But the Giants, I think. But it turned out to be nothing. More and more time that goes by where he does not look like what everyone thought Jerry Judy was going to be, just makes me want to have less and less to do with him.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the season, I would have gladly grabbed him or traded for him. I would have thought, all right, they're going to turn things around. They can't be that bad again. And they just are. I mean, Cortland Sutton is looking like the guy, and everybody said they didn't like him there. Like, the team didn't like him.
Mm-hmm.
And even he's, like, barely startable, right? He's like a flex start.
Yeah, and we all know that Marvin Mims is actually the best receiver on that team.
And they just won't feed him. Give the
Yep.
ball to Marvin Mims. Release Marvin Mims.
I actually think he's like low key a decent end of the bench stash
Yeah,
because Denver will trade Cortland Sutton or Jerry Judy or both in the next week. So
it could happen.
yeah.
They're not winning this
Um,
year.
so my other like I'm just completely off is Amari Cooper. I want like literally no parts of Amari Cooper with PJ Walker there.
Yeah,
I mean, I
that's a
own
good one.
zero Amari Cooper anyway, but just telling you all, if you have him, just get whatever you can. Like, I would trade Amari Cooper for Joshua Palmer right now, not think twice about it, and then be so happy.
Yeah, I I kind of agree with that. Yeah, as long as PJ is the quarterback there, yeah, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
I could I try to think of some other high end guys, and I think we talked about Drake London a while back. I think he's bounced back enough where he's like your wide receiver three, and you're happy.
Yeah, I think he's looked decent enough. I'm pretty satisfied with him. So here's
Rashad
two more
Bateman
like
is droppable.
who?
Rashad Bateman,
Yeah, Bateman's been
he's
droppable. Yeah, he's
droppable. Yeah,
he's toast. Here's a couple names. Do you think either of these can save their season? T. Higgins and Christian Watson.
yes to both. I think they
Yes to
both can.
both.
I think the
They've
talent
both
is
done
there.
absolute dog shit.
Well,
You know that, right?
Cincy's offense has done dog shit, except for Jamar Chase. Like
So
Burrow has looked bad. I think they're coming off a bye. I think Cincy will bounce back. I think we'll see T bounce back. With Green Bay, I think it's a matter of maybe Christian Watson isn't 100% yet, and we'll see him start doing better and better. But they look like, I mean, Dobbs and Jaden Reed looks. Did you see that crazy touchdown pass to Jaden Reed?
hmm
It was supposed to go to Dobbs, and it was like kind of thrown behind him, and then it just like got gifted into Jaden Reed's hands.
yeah,
It's great. I loved it.
they have three good receivers there. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, man. I don't know what's up with Watson. I feel like you're right. You can probably get him for next to nothing because whoever has him is probably very frustrated. Um, but what was the other one? T. Higgins. Dude, T. Higgins is so tough to judge because I feel like if I had him right now, I would give him up for a player that was drafted nowhere near him. Like
Yeah. Josh
I
Palmer.
would I don't actually think I could do that. I could
No,
do
okay.
Josh
I was
Palmer.
that's like right there, probably in the
I could do
range.
Palmer for Mari Cooper. I don't think I could do Palmer for T. Higgins, but I
Yeah.
could give up T. Higgins for Drake London, I think.
Terry McLaurin,
Terry McLaurin easily. I wouldn't even think twice about that.
George Pickens,
Pickens, Metcalf, uh,
um,
Garrett Wilson. Um,
Marquise Brown.
yep.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. T is like
Would you rather have T or Watson?
Christian Watson.
Yeah, Christian Watson.
T Higgins.
T. It's okay. I see that was probably pretty
Yeah,
close.
that's like the battle of like
Yeah.
suck. Like who sucks less.
Godwin or Sutton over
Oh,
T.
Godwin for. I mean, I'm way too. Don't ask me any questions about Chris Godwin because I'm the biggest Chris Godwin
All
fan.
right, all right, all right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely Godwin.
How about Josh Downs?
Oof. No, I would take T, but Josh
Okay.
Downs does look nice.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? We're talking right now about would you rather have T Higgins or Josh Downs?
I mean, I'd rather have T Higgins than any of these guys we mentioned. I think.
Wow. Okay, so you're
I
still
think
pretty high on
Pickens
him.
would be close for me. I think I'd rather have Nico. But I think T's going to bounce back. I think Cincy will bounce back because they have to.
Well, judging on this conversation we just had, it sounds like you're higher on T Higgins than consensus. So you should go make some trades for T Higgins tonight.
I'll send actually the one league I have Justin Jefferson on my bench. I'll send him to I'll send him out for T Higgins and see if the guy takes
Is it redraft?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
I mean, that's interesting.
I think it would
Just
be worth
straight.
it.
You're just going to do it straight up.
Yeah. I have to. I'm towards the end of that league, so I have to win.
Man, I mean that if that doesn't tell you how much
It
redraft
would be
leagues
T
are
Higgins or
like,
Jalen Warren. I'd be starting, so I would slot T Higgins in there.
so redraft is all about what can you do for me this week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or it would be the next 3 to 4 weeks, depending how long JJ's out.
I'm with you. Yeah, you either get 0 points or whatever T Higgins scores, right?
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, yeah, let's pack it up. We got to watch the rest of this Bills game. Looks like it's shaping up to be,
I
what's the
missed
score
Gabe
now?
Davis touchdown.
You
He's
didn't
now
say, you didn't tell
eight
me.
for 79 and a touchdown. I missed it. We were chatting.
My guy,
But yeah, your guy, he's going off now. Shakir still
dude,
has 5 for 78 though. That's impressive.
my arm hurts for patting myself on the back so much for, I mean, when I started playing Dynasty, it was what, 3 years ago? And I remember I was that draft class, I was all in on Gabe Davis and Nico Collins. They were like, I love
Yeah,
those guys. And I have
you
those
were
in
all
so
in
many
on
Dynasty.
JT too though, because everyone
What?
was going. I remember you were all in on Jonathan Taylor because people were about CEH. Is that the same
Hmm.
class, or am I thinking the class
Yeah,
after?
same class. It
Okay,
was
yeah, that's
with
what I thought.
Dobbins
Yeah,
and Swift and
yeah,
Taylor and
yeah.
CH. Yeah. Yeah, I went did I draft Taylor over CEH? I think I did. I don't know.
No, someone else drafted CEH
So
first.
yeah, they drafted him first.
Arn took him.
Yeah, man. I love me a big bodied receiver that can also run a little bit.
Yeah, nothing wrong
Nico
with that.
Collins, Gabe Davis, pretty much the same person.
Yeah. All right, let's sign
Cool, man.
off.
Yep, signing off. Thank you guys. Appreciate you hanging out. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. We're gonna do this every week. Come on by, ask us questions, and we'll hang out and drink bourbon with you. Cheers. Have a good night.
Cheers.
Go Bills.